DEriq obviously came here to showcase himself and try to get interest from the National Football League. Where do you think he stands in that mission right now? Have you had the opportunity to talk to any of your contacts in the league about what they're seeing from him? And also, I guess conversely, do you think there is a reasonable chance that he decides to come play here again next year and continue this advancement he's been making?
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question. Coach Diaz kind of heads up and handles all the, talking to a lot of the, representatives in that regard. I mean, people I've talked to, I know DEriq is held in high regard and very well respected among, everybody that is involved in the process of going to the next level. That definitely is a goal of his. I think he's done a really good job for us this year. Have not really got too in depth in those talks with him just because we're still in the middle of our season. And, in fairness to him and our football team, that's really our focus. And it's weird that we've kind of had it interrupted for 3 weeks and we still got 3 games left here as we basically start December. But I think DEriq would be the first to tell you that's really what we're focused on now. And hopefully 3 or 4 weeks from now that conversation could maybe strike up. But I think it's a goal of his. I think he's definitely more than capable. And, obviously finishing strong at the end of the season is probably the most important thing.
How has he improved since, the first day you worked with him? And, how do you feel he's gotten better this year?
Yeah, I think probably just getting comfortable in what we're doing. And, he and I, working and kind of thinking together and thinking more alike. And I think everything helps. DEriq's always been able to throw a good deep ball. The first 3 or 4 games of the year we struggled, but I think that was we were struggling more than he was struggling. And I think as we got more on the same page with him and the wideouts, we got better at it. Obviously, there's concern when you have 3 weeks off. We've got to do our best to try to kind of get that rhythm going again. But I think sometimes the quarterback, bears a little bit of that brunt early in the season when things aren't going well. But it was kind of a team deal. I think he's been much more accurate, very efficient. I think he just understands what defenses are trying to do to him and to us and does a good job of just, kind of taking what they're giving us and not trying to force things. He's done a really good job of protecting the football thus far, which has given us a chance to win pretty much every week.
Coach, we've got David Lake from 24/7. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, wanted to ask you about Duke's defense and specifically their edge guys. It seems like statistically they got some guys that can impact the game. I guess, what have you seen from them? And maybe are they on that same – you guys have faced plenty of good edge guys. Are they on that same level as previous teams you've faced so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously just getting a late start last evening on these guys, finding out who we were going to play. That's the first thing that really stands out to you is, 96 and 51 are really good players. They're 2 defensive ends. I think 51 was a really productive player for them last year, as was 96. And those guys, they're as good as a lot of the guys we play. This league, that's what's impressed me week in, week out. It seems like we play 1 or 2 or sometimes even 3 defensive ends who can really rush the passer and affect the game on the edge. And, I think those 2 guys are no different. And, it's going to be a real challenge for our tackles and really for our whole offense.
Coach, we've got Susan Miller-Degnan from the Miami Herald. Susan, go ahead.
Hey, Rhett.
Hey,
Hey, how do you think DEriq King has, taken all of this, not being able to play the last couple of weeks? It's obvious he wants to, play badly. I didn't know if he could throw with some receivers in the last couple of weeks, but how is his emotional level or whatever?
I think he's fine. I mean, you put this on the list of things that have happened to him or to us in 2020. It's not even striking the surface of some of the really bad things that, adverse things he's had to deal with. I think all our players, that's the cool thing as a coach. I know for all of us, we've been excited. Our guys want to play. And, being off it'll be 3 weeks by the time we play is unusual in the middle of a season, especially when you're kind of winning and have a little momentum. But you're sometimes not sure how guys are going to react. But our guys, they want to play. I think they're excited to be kind of back in the building and getting to work and knowing who we're going to play and having an opponent and, opponent that's gotten the better of us recently. So a good challenge for us. And I think DEriq, along with all our guys, their mentality's been great. Like I said, we've been in fairness to these kids, they've been dealing with uncertainty and these kind of things since middle of March. And so I think at this point in time, they've just kind of learned to roll with it and make the most of every situation.
And then the follow was, and I'm not sure how this works. I know with offensive linemen, you have to have a certain amount of scholarship players to play the game. If you ever got to a point where, I'm not sure you could get to this point where you had no quarterbacks left, or like the Broncos, or you had nobody left, like, would you be able to compensate? I'm sure you've thought about that scenario.
I don't want to think about it. Yeah, what the Broncos had to deal with yesterday was unique. I know that the ACC's put together a protocol for, a limited number of players at positions to be able to play the game. And I don't foresee anybody in our league being forced to play without a healthy quarterback. But if that happened, we'd do what they did, and we'd get the dry erase board out, and we'd draw up the best we could, and go back to the old Darren McFadden Wildcat days when I was at Arkansas and see what we can cook up.
Okay, thanks.
Coach, we got Chris Stock from InsideTheU. Chris, go ahead.
It's about Jeremiah Payne. Maybe your thoughts on his development, what you've seen from him this year. Obviously, he didn't play for a couple games, and then also just maybe his future as you've gotten to know him as a player.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the very beginning. Who'd you ask me about?
Jeremiah Payne, wide receiver Jeremiah.
Jeremiah is one of those interesting deals. He's really only a redshirt freshman, so he was here. Last year was his first year at college ball, didn't really get any action. And it's kind of been an up and down situation for him this year. He's had some good moments. I know the first game of the year we thought he was starting to prove that he was going to earn a lot more time, and then he had some setbacks where he missed some games. And same thing a couple weeks ago against NC State, and then same thing has been out. It's kind of been hard for him to get in a rhythm. But our long-term optimism and expectations for Jeremiah is to be a very good football player here. And I think he has the same. I think he has all the skill sets you need. He's still a young player. Sometimes maturing process has to happen. And I think having this first year with us and what we're trying to do is helped him understand what we're trying to get accomplished. It's not just as simple as, in high school when you just go out there and you're the best player. There's a lot of details that have to be tended to in terms of your fundamentals and how you play the game. And I think Jeremiah's growing up steadily for us, and we have high expectations for the rest of his career here.
Coach, we got two more for you. We're going to go to Barry Jackson at the Herald. Barry, go ahead.
Hi, Rhett. How much urgency, if any, do you feel to add a quarterback in this class, or do you not feel a pressing one? Because obviously Nikosi's coming back. You have Tyler and Payton as young prospects to develop.
Well, we're always looking to add the best quarterbacks we can to our roster, just like every team. There's hardly anybody goes years without signing at least a quarterback. We feel good about the guys we're still recruiting. We feel really good about the guys on our roster, to your point, that should be back with us next year, and feel good about the guys and even the later classes that we're recruiting. It's hard. Quarterbacks are different. Typically, like even when I left SMU, we already had the quarterback for this class committed where I was. Quarterbacks typically get recruited almost a year ahead of every other position. And so when we got here in January, this class of quarterbacks was pretty much picked over to some degree, but there were still some really good players out that we've been able to recruit. We're optimistic that we're going to find the right guy. I think I've said it before. Just signing a quarterback doesn't do you any good if he's not the right fit. And so we're not worried about the timeline. Whenever we find that right guy who fits what we're trying to do, we think fits here and can lead us to the level we want to be at and wants to be here. That's the combination we're looking for. And we're optimistic that we'll be able to get those kind of guys in here.
Awesome. Coach, last one for you is David Wilson from the Miami Herald. David, go ahead for Coach Lashlee.
Hey, Rhett, I'm just curious, what were you kind of up to over the couple of weeks when you guys weren't able to practice? Like, obviously that's 2 or 3 hours a day you're out on the field that you've got extra time to scheme and draw up plays. Were there certain things you were kind of using that extra time to do?
Yeah, a little bit. You get ready for an opponent, Wake Forest, to find out that that's not who you're going to be playing. It was a lot going on. Obviously, it gives you a chance to get caught up in some recruiting things that are sometimes harder in the middle of the season. Like everybody, we were really focused on our kids, on their mindset, on getting them healthy, on making sure, finals are coming up this week and just finishing this. There's a lot more that goes into just playing a game for our guys. And so it gave us a chance to maybe tend to some of those things that sometimes aren't at the forefront when you go game week to game week to game week. But make no mistake about it, it's a lot easier to work from the office than from home. I got a lot of distractions at the house, so getting here and being able to get back in our routine. I know as coaches, we've been excited to do that and get around our players. At this point in the season, you don't go like draw up and make up new stuff. You kind of have an idea of what your guys are good at, try to finish down the stretch. At the same time, like I said, we're going to have not played or even practiced much for almost 3 weeks, and we're going to go play a game. And so, we've got to try to walk that fine line as coaches of helping our guys get ready and get prepared and give them a chance to go out and be successful after such a long layoff.